Hey, it's Frank here with 4D Honeybee on this gorgeous May the 21st. And big day at the bee yard today just because I got a lot of stuff to do. Main mission for today is to remove all the mite treatments that I put on these hives 3 weeks ago. It's a 21-day cycle for the MAC quick strips there. And also to assess where we're going to go with these hives for the summer. So hive number 1 there, the hive on the left, was the strongest hive going into winter, and it was the strongest hive coming into the spring. And I want to focus on just honey production on that hive. So I'm going to have an inspection, but I'm pretty sure I'm prepared to put on at least 1, maybe 2 supers on that hive today. Hive number 2 in the middle is my survivor hive. It's the hive that rejected a queen, then I requeened in September, then spent the winter living with a whole bunch of mice in the bottom brood box. So I reduced down that one down to 1 brood box. And it should be healthy. I'm expecting to see 6+ frames full of bees in that one. If that is the case, I'll add the second brood box to that one and start feeding it. I'll keep the hive reducer on just to eliminate robbing. This is the mystery hive. It's doing pretty well here, hive number 3. But I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't know if I want to split it. They've been pretty nasty this year, so if they continue being nasty, I may want to change the genetics of that hive. So I'll just inspect that hive and see whether or not to put a honey super on, or maybe plan a split of that hive, or maybe do nothing with it, depending on how it's going. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to break this up into separate videos, and talk to you soon. 4D Honeybee. Okay, so I'm looking at hive number 1 here, and this is the hive that I think should be healthy and robust enough to start putting some honey supers on. It was my strong hive all of last year. Wow, and it's glued the top on. It's not a big surprise. I'm expecting to see a lot of bees in this hive. And again, first mission on this is just to do an inspection, just to make sure the queen is still right laying, which I would expect her to be, just to see how they're doing. You can see there's a lot of bees in there, which is great. Just checking the outer lid to see if I see the queen. I'm not very good at spotting the queen, but I'm going to get better at that this year. That's one of my goals. Okay. Set this hive over here upside down in case we need to put some more boxes on it. And you can see there's a decent number of bees in this hive, which is great news. Now what I'm going to do, the reason why that upper lid stuck a little bit is you see the propolis here, you know, might have not been a factor when the temperatures were colder, but as it gets hot again, it reactivates itself and glues itself to the hive. So we'll get rid of some of that. And again, you might want to take the time to keep this propolis. I sometimes take it if I see big chunks of it inside the hive, but I don't, you know, I don't keep it other than that. See, you might be able to do something with that, but I don't. Yet, anyway. Like, there's so many things you can do as a beekeeper other than tending to your bees, right? There's wax rendering. I've done a little bit of that. There's collecting pollen, propolis, all that stuff. They're just such an incredible little resource. But, you know, I'm a hobby beekeeper, right? I got a full-time job, 4 kids, my own other pastimes. So I just don't find I have the, I don't want to make the time to do that kind of stuff. But so what I'm expecting to do is lift the hive here, lift the lid here, the inner lid, and see, you know, a good, solid coverage of bees in there, and that's what we got. You can see they've done quite a bit of burr comb building. Again, looking for the queen on the inner lid. She really could be anywhere. I don't see her there. I'll just set this lid down at the front of the hive here. Okay. Now I'm going to take a quick look underneath this brood box just to see if I see any supersedure cells, right? If any hive should be getting ready to swarm, it's this one, because it's got a ton of resources now. We're on a major nectar flow here with dandelions in full bloom for 3 weeks now. All the fruit trees are blooming as well. So, and this hive was very much full of stuff the last time I checked it, and going into winter. It really didn't look like it consumed much of its stores at all, which is a good thing. It means it's healthy, but also means it's got a high potential for swarming. Now you notice I'm back to wearing gloves again, right? So last year at the beginning of the year, I worked towards a goal of not wearing gloves anymore. And this year what I found is that I'm just going to start off with the gloves again, just to gradually build my confidence back up. Because with these mite treatments, I always find that that's one of the times when the bees are particularly nasty, right? When you're dealing with the mite treatments. They don't like them. It bothers them. And these hives have all been very nice and subdued and easy to work with. But that's when they do get nasty. So you can see, here's the mite treatment. I'll get rid of that first and foremost. Set it down on my palette there. I'm looking at the bottom here to see if I can see any supersedure cells, right? Any swarm cells. I don't see any, but you can see doing that cost me to expose a lot of larvae, right? Those are probably drone larvae that were on the bottom of this first box into the second box. You can see just how well these bees are doing here. It's fantastic. So I'm not going to do much more to this one. I've got a little piece of mite treatment that I'm going to remove. I'm going to set this box back, and I'm going to put honey supers on this hive. I've debated with myself as to whether I should split this hive because it is so strong, and I think I could still split it later in the year. But for now, I want this hive just focusing on honey. Okay, and now they're just suddenly getting nasty. It's funny, when I just brought my face towards the hive there, 3 or 4 of them just decided it was time to attack. So we'll get some smoke on them, and we'll get. I'm gonna put a queen excluder on, and a couple of frames of, or a couple of at least one honey super. Now here's the queen excluder I use. The first year when I used this excluder, not many bees came up and not much honey was produced. So I only used it for, you know, a couple of 3 weeks. Come on, move guys so I don't squish you. And then I gave up on it, which I may have to do again. I'm going to start with it just so that the queen doesn't go up and build, doesn't go up and lay brood. So here's what I'm doing for a honey super. You can see I've already got a 9-frame super set up. It's got mostly all drone out frames in it. Just adjust the camera here for you. You can see how most of these frames, there's one that's not drawn out at all, but most of them are drawn out to some degree, you see? So they should be able to move up here pretty quickly. Now, again, the reason why I set up 9 frames in a 10-frame box, and I will space these equally, is because I want the frames to be drawn out thicker, wider than normal, right? Wider than just the edges, just like this one is. You see how the comb comes out beyond the edge there? It just means you get more honey per frame and you're more efficient. Remember I was talking about those globs of propolis that I take sometimes? That is delicious stuff. You take that glob and just stick it in your mouth and chew it. It is delicious. It's kind of has this little pine-like antiseptic type tingling flavor to it. Alright, so that's going to be it for this hive. I won't feed this one because it is doing just fine without being fed. And I do want to have honey that is 100% natural. In other words, where the bees have never been fed anything. So that's it. I'm going to put the lid back on this one, and hive number 1 is done with 40 honeybees.